plays we've seen from DeJohnay, right? So jumping over the top, getting these transition blocks, she's always going to make that effort. So even for some of these, she's behind the offensive player coming over the top. She was behind Sophie Cunningham. She wasn't able to get over the top. Had she got over the top and made that play, we wouldn't have been talking about it. She was too far behind the play. The contact above the head was too much. But that's what DeJohnay Carrington does. This wasn't because it was Sophie Cunningham.
Hey guys, we got an 8-ball here.
Is Janae Agumake doing the most?
Okay, I'll tell you what it says. Am I doing the most?
Girl, get out of here.
It says, I can't even read it.
Hey friends, it's me, Shanae. I got a magic 8-ball here that predicts the future. Let's ask it some questions. Is Women's Sports Sunday destined for cancellation? It is certain. Is Women's Sports Sunday considered by many to be the worst sports programming on the TV? Without a doubt. Do our viewers agree with our analyses that the WNBA is beautiful basketball? Very doubtful. You know, I almost feel bad. I think her name is Andrea Carter. I almost feel bad for her because she's in a situation where she's having to defend the indefensible. Over the weekend, ESPN did their damnedest to bury the truth. They placed an emergency purchase order for polish. They had staffers working overtime to polish this turd. They refused to mention this tweet from DeJohnay Carrington where she is accusing Sophie Cunningham of having white privilege, which was posted minutes after DJ Carrington introduced her bicep to Sophie Cunningham's face. 24 hours later, on what is thankfully one of the final episodes of Women's Sports Sunday on ESPN, a block of programming that cannot end fast enough, Andrea Carter is given the unenviable task of defending the indefensible. Oh, you guys, DJ wasn't targeting Sophie. This wasn't racial. This wasn't political. This is just what DJ does. She likes to get physical. Is it any wonder why ratings for Women's Sports Sunday are circling the pooper? Is it any wonder why people are telling ESPN on Sunday nights to get off my TV? For decades, the narrative, well, really, the excuse that we were given as to why the WNBA and the NWSL were huge, embarrassing failures. Both leagues claimed that they were failing because of a lack of national exposure. No one is watching us because they can't find our games on the TV. Well, now they have mainstream exposure. Both leagues deal with minimal competition in the summer, and ESPN has given them a full day on Sunday for 9 weeks to promote their product. ESPN dumped Sunday Night Baseball to make room for women's sports, or as ESPN prefers to call it, equity. The thinking was, if people had access to these high-profile matchups, if ESPN built the platform, the audience would come. But there was just one problem, one tiny problem, and this is especially true with the NWSL. ESPN provided a mainstream platform for a league that no one wants to watch. As always, you don't have to take my word for it. Uncle KC always comes with the proof. But before we get to these ratings, let's get to the sponsor for today's video, my good friends at Sugar Mountain Trading. Mark is one of my longtime viewers. For 34 years, he worked as a warehouse manager at a distribution center for a grocery store. Once he got into his 50s, after 34 years of physical labor, Mark developed pain in his shoulder and his lower back. Like most dealing with pain, Mark was having difficulty sleeping until he heard Uncle KC mention the CBD from Sugar Mountain Trading. Back in June, Mark purchased his first bottle of CBD lotion from Sugar Mountain Trading. The random flare-ups of pain, those are no longer a constant source of stress because the CBD completely alleviates it. If his shoulder starts bothering him, Mark applies some of the CBD lotion and the pain just magically disappears. There is a reason Sugar Mountain Trading has been with me here on the channel for the last 2 years. My audience consistently buys their CBD because it works. If you are dealing with constant pain, I cannot think of a better investment for your comfort. What do you have to lose? Start controlling your pain today by clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment below. Use my promo code BTL25, BTL25. Receive 25% off your first purchase with Sugar Mountain Trading. Last week, ESPN presented an exciting doubleheader for Women's Sports Sunday. First, they had a highly anticipated matchup between the female Suns from Connecticut and the Dallas Wankers. Think of all the major stars that were involved in this game. Bob Greiner, America's favorite couple, AZ Fudd, Paige Beckers. This is one of those matchups television executives dream about. Oh my stars! Ratings for this game are gonna be huge! The female Suns and the Wankers drew 690,000 viewers. Now, this is well below the WNBA's average on ESPN, which is artificially inflated by Caitlin Clark. This is well below the WNBA's usual average on ESPN, which is around 740,000 viewers. Later that day, ESPN presented another dream matchup in the NWSL. It was the Denver Plummet, known for their unique ability to plummet ratings, and the Boston Legacy, which I guess they are known for their legacy of ratings failure. Looking at these lineups of stars, there is no reason the NWSL couldn't deliver 750,000, maybe even 1 million viewers to ESPN, right? I mean, check out these legends. Lindsay Heaps.
Who?
Sammy Smith.
Who?
And I'm not making that up. Sammy Smith is a real player in the NWSL. And Casey Murphy.
And who?
This is must-see TV. I cannot think of anything more exciting on a Sunday night than watching unknown players kicking a ball across grass for 90 minutes. Unfortunately for ESPN, Uncle Casey, along with friends and family of the NWSL players, we were the only ones excited about this once-in-a-lifetime matchup because the NWSL, they only drew 240,000 viewers, which put ESPN in last place last Sunday night. Uncle Casey, maybe they were dealing with stiff competition. Yeah, check out the competition for yourself. The NWSL was dominated by everything on cable. Henry Winkler, who, if I'm not mistaken, he's that dude that used to say, hey, back in the 1970s. The peak of his career was 10 years before I was born. Hank Winkler by himself damn near beat the combined audience of the WNBA and NWSL on ESPN. Fortunately for ESPN, the final episode of Women's Sports Sunday was going to be next week. Uncle Casey, that doesn't make any sense. Why would ESPN cancel Women's Sports Sunday in the most important part of the season? The NWSL is preparing for the playoffs. Same with the WNBA. The WNBA playoffs start next month. Players are excited to chase the coveted prize of the golden toilet. Why wouldn't ESPN want to showcase this exciting chase? That is an interesting question. Why would the network that is supposedly dedicated to women's sports, why would the network that is dedicated to the WNBA cancel Women's Sports Sunday at the most important part of the WNBA season. That doesn't make sense, right? It would be like Fox telling the NFL, we're going to cancel your games in December so we can broadcast the playoffs in Pee Wee football. That's basically what ESPN is telling the WNBA, because Women's Sports Sunday is being pushed off the network so ESPN can broadcast the Little League World Series. Now, obviously, the Little League World Series is tradition on ESPN, but so was Sunday Night Baseball, which was abruptly canceled to make room for programming that no one asked for. You know, I remember 3, maybe 4 years ago, investors, they started dumping money into the NWSL. At the time, the league was receiving more exposure than ever. Attendance was going up. Investors bought into the illusion that there was legitimate interest in the NWSL. And if you believe the NWSL, there is still legitimate interest in their league. We are so back! Attendance is up. Fan engagement is up. We've had a record number of couples getting engaged at NWSL games, with our favorite engagement being Mina and Tina. And the best part is, competition is up in our league. Woohoo! Yes, yes, yes! I noticed one thing missing in this exciting announcement. I noticed the NWSL failed to mention that ratings are up. I wonder why. It's great that competition is up in the NWSL, whatever the hell that means. It's great that fan engagement is up, whatever the hell that means. And it's great that attendance has increased from nothing to almost nothing. The NWSL is averaging 11,000 per game, which in soccer is still very low. But even with these metrics trending in a positive direction, the NWSL has fallen out of the mainstream. Why? Because their mainstream exposure was an illusion. Their mainstream exposure was based on Meg Rapinoe kneeling for the national anthem or advocating for men and women's sports. At the time, it was a benefit to the NWSL. The league was struggling. They couldn't find a way to get noticed. Meg Rapinoe was able to elevate the league into the mainstream. Her supporters of identifiers and men wearing dresses, they were going to NWSL games to support their hero. But those people, they were not there for the NWSL. They weren't there to see professional soccer. They were there to see a professional activist. And once she retired, once Meg Rapinoe disappeared from the mainstream, the NWSL disappeared right along with her. You know, a lot of people criticize ESPN's coverage of the WNBA, and rightfully so. ESPN's coverage of the WNBA is divisive because the league is divisive. As a network, this presents a problem because the divisiveness, it divides your audience. And maybe that's one of the reasons ESPN went from 1.5, 2 million viewers with Sunday Night Baseball down to 700,000 for the WNBA and damn near nothing for the NWSL. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.